let's just say tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars just on ads. And we've been blessed enough to bring in $500,000 through ads over the last few years, right? And I mean, that's just straight running paid advertising, right? So I'm gonna get you in a second. So, but I'm gonna tell you this, that it's only gonna work based on you targeting the best customer, the right person, right? Mm-hmm. So for example, I was working with Daryl, right? So I'm working with Daryl, and Daryl does goal setting, right? And Daryl like, yo, everybody needs goals. I'm like, I know, everybody needs goals. Everybody in the world needs goals, right? He said, no, man. I'm like, everybody needs them, so I don't really know who to target. And I said, and I told him the exact same. He'll tell you. I had the exact same conversation with him. I said, who's your best customer? He was like, well, I don't really know. And I said, well, what do you feel like you have good expertise and like good credibility in? He started mentioning a couple things, and I said, I see you on Instagram like every day in the gym. I said, you follow Daryl in the gym, and like he's like the most consistent person in the gym that I see all the time, right? And I said, well, there's a lot of people that are either trying to lose weight or gain muscle going to the gym. Yep. I said, and that's a hard goal for some people. Like being consistent, I'm one of them. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm just keeping it 100 with you, right? Sure. You know what I mean? So I said, okay, although everybody needs help with goals, I said you got the most credibility with that. And he was like, yeah, you know what, you're right. I did this. I played D1 football. I did this. I am consistent with the gym. I've helped people with like instant things before. I'm like, come on, that's a slam dunk. Certified.
That's big, yeah.
I'm like, yo, that's a slam dunk right there, right? So that's what we're talking about when we say who your best customers is. Like, think about who do I have the most credibility with, right? So what is so once you identify who your best customer is, there's a couple questions that you want to ask, and I'm not going to write down all of them, but I'm going to say it. So one thing, these are some considerations. One, who do you like helping the most? Let me say like, who do you like helping the most, right? Because there could be certain people, certain industries that you could help, but you may not necessarily like helping them the most. So you really gotta look at that. Like I remember having a coaching call with a lady one time, and she went through, and I can't remember the exact event, but she went through like a traumatic event, and she was like, I don't want to teach it and train it because she's like, it brings me back. She's like, she wasn't in the space where she can teach it and train it a lot because it brought back the pain. So that's a situation where, well, she made it through. She's still here. She's still breathing. She could give you some ways to navigate. I think it might have been a relationship, like to get out of the relationship or whatever.
You remember what that was?
Right? Huh?
I remember. Wasn't that a group call?
It might have been a group call.
It was the lady with the rape.
It might have been that.
It might have been that.
Yeah. Because I had a lot of calls like that, but it probably was.
Yeah, I thought so because y'all remember her saying that specifically. Mm-hmm. She didn't want to because it brought her back to that same place.
Because it brings her back to the same place, right? Exactly. Yeah. So you have to think about, okay, well, who do you like to work with? Because this is going to be your career. You know what I mean? This is not going to be something you're going to do in today or out tomorrow. Also, who else? You want to look at, and by the way, this is going to fall at, regardless of what advertising platform, right? But let's just say, I just drew this as like Facebook, is you want to do detailed targeting. So you want to also ask what influencers do they follow? Influencers. Right? So for example, Glassstein talking to managers, well, who talks to corporate? I'm sure there's a lot of corporate leaders out there, corporate influencers. Right? Who's teaching goal setting or who's teaching leadership? So if I'm targeting people in terms of, okay, I want to target influencers because the influencers that are in my space are the people that have congregated. They've spent years, they spent decades, they spend a lot of money to attract this audience and to build up their brand. So like the John C. Maxwell brand, he spent a lot of time, energy, money building up a leadership brand for him to attract all of these people. And we can get direct access into that. How beautiful is that? Right? We can get direct access. Now, it got to be earned. Like June was saying, it got to be earned. You can't, they ain't just going to just do it off GP. But if you're good enough, you can actually target an influencer like John C. Maxwell, spend a couple dollars a day, target them, and guess what? Everybody who's interested in leadership is now looking at you, right? So you want to look at what influencers, what associations, and companies. What I'm sharing with y'all right now is targeting strategies. And when you're targeting, how do you know who you're going to be targeting? Associations and companies. So what that will look like? Well, I'm sure there's a lot of leadership organizations, nonprofit organizations that you can follow, associations. But you know what would also be dope? If you targeted companies. What if you targeted Pepsi? What if you targeted Bank of America? What if you targeted employees of Chick-fil-A? You know, you can target employees. You could target schools, like principals. You could target certain schools, right? You could target certain colleges. What if you targeted that, and then now you have a campaign that targeted certain organizations, schools, associations, companies, and now you have the employees or the staff or the people that are within that organization, now they're seeing your content. And guess what? Somebody likes it, they might reach out. Somebody likes it, they might become a lead. You know what I'm saying? Now you're getting leads from Fortune 500 companies on management. They calling to inquire. They're opting in to get an ebook or a white paper or a checklist or a worksheet or a free call, right? So what associations or companies? All right, I'll list a couple more. We talked about, this is kind of similar but different, groups, right? So what groups are they a part of? So if there's any kind of groups, like I remember targeting, I did a campaign targeting speakers, right? So that campaign, you have, you got the National Speakers Association, you got all of these different associations, but then also, there's a lot of Facebook groups, and so I would just say maybe it might not necessarily be an association, but if it's a smaller group, you can also target that as well too. All right. Some of them you may be able to find through, let's say if it was Facebook, some of them you may be able to find through Facebook, some of them you may not. Right. So that's that. Oh, this is a good one too. What events do they attend? There's certain events that you can target. If there's big events, try targeting some of those events. There's certain industry things that just everybody go to. Well, what are those certain events? What else? Software. People don't think about this. What software could you use? I'm sure that in corporate, or if you say I'm going to the IT industry, right? Then what software? If you're going to Vizio, now you see what I'm saying, right? Now there's certain things that you can target that corporations use or employees within corporations use. That now you can target that software. You can target Slack. You could say you have a campaign that literally says okay, it has software on it, and then now you just list out all of the softwares that your ideal client uses. Yeah. Like that. Microsoft Word, whatever. Author tool. You know what I mean? So you can do that, or if it's certain things that literary agents use, certain software that they use, you can do that. Like if I was targeting accountants, I can target QuickBooks. I can target, you feel what I'm saying? So there's certain software that you can also target on these social media platforms.
Now, when you target that software, how does that translate to conversions? How does that?
Yeah, great question. So last thing you said, how does that translate to conversions? So it's just like you target anything else. All targeting does is, so Facebook has, at the time we're doing this training right now, and the last stat I saw is that they have over 2.9 billion active users, right, on Facebook. Now, they're not going to show your ads to everybody, but what they are going to do is they're going to say, okay, out of all of these people, who do you want to show your ads to? So then that's where the targeting becomes important, because all the targeting is doing is showing it to a certain subset of all of the active users on the platform. And once they see it, if your ad is dope, they're gonna click and they're gonna sign up, or they're gonna click and they're gonna download. So how it's gonna turn to conversions is that they're gonna see it and they're gonna click it and then they're gonna sign up.
I see what you're saying.
Yep.
Got a question in the chat.
Yeah, what you got?
The question is, do you invite them to go to your website or ask them to go to your social media page? I guess with the leads that you're generating.
Good question. Yeah, good question. So with your ad, I wouldn't recommend neither, right? So remember why you run it. It depends on what it depends on what the reason is, but I wouldn't recommend neither. You want to run ads for a specific reason, for a specific purpose, and the goal is to generate leads. You remember how Evan was looking at y'all like, y'all need to get an email list. Right? That's how you build your email list. That's one of the fastest and easiest ways to build the email list is to run paid ads. Now you'll get it organically, meeting people and things of that nature, but you can build your email list through running ads. So, but if you send them to your website and they can click on 100 different things, nobody's gonna opt in. Even if you have an opt-in form on your website, your conversions are gonna be a lot lower. I'm sending them to my social media and you looking around and you plucking around, but I'm not translating that into a lead that could potentially we could do business at some point. Right? You got a question?
But I feel like aren't those the only two options?
No, there's way more. There's way more options. So when you running paid, good question. I love it. Good question. So when you're running paid advertisements, you can have there's different objectives. They call it objectives in here, right? So there's different objectives. So you can have a lead objective. A lead objective is I am running these ads to an audience so they can click and they can look at whatever I'm offering and they can put their name, their email, and or their phone number in to get the resource that I'm giving them. Right? So if this is a checklist and I'm saying, okay, this is my goal planning checklist. Goal planning, and I know because we just did this exercise, right? So, so this is my goal planning checklist, right? All right, this is going to help you be 5 times more productive, right? Guaranteed. And you're going to eliminate all your distractions. You're going to save a lot of time. You're going to save a lot of energy, and guess what? You're not even going to be stressed out, and you're going to achieve your goals. You're going to be happy about achieving your goals, not stressed out and pissed off about achieving your goals, right? So let's just say that's what my landing page says. To you can take it. right. Listen, if you want me to do the video, you're gonna have to pay. All right. Right. So so let's just say that's the copy for my landing page, right? For people to get this checklist. All right. So then my goal for them to get the checklist is they have to provide their contact information to get it. So that is an objective for them to do. Now you have other objectives, like I've ran other objectives such as like video views. So I've done it before where I just say, hey, I just want to get people familiar with me, like the brand. I just want them to watch my videos. But guess what? When they watch your videos, YouTube also they count that as an engagement. And YouTube knows who's been watching your videos. I think if it's like longer than like 3 seconds or between like 3 to 7 seconds, they count it as a view. Mm-hmm. And now, I say YouTube, but Facebook, they know who is viewing your stuff. So now later, if I wanted to, I could retarget everybody who watched my videos. So like, damn, I saw this dude. Where did I see this dude before? And they probably watched one of my videos. So now I can run a lead generation campaign and get higher conversions because they've seen me before. It's like the know, like, and trust factor. It's like the 3 hellos online. It's really what it is, right? It's like what it is. So, anyway, to bring it back to the question that we had is I would run it specifically to build my email list. That's what I would run it. You're gonna run it to build your email list, 1, and then number 2, you could run it to generate appointments on your calendar, right? Which, by the way, if you get an appointment on your calendar, they're a lead anyway, right? When somebody books an appointment, what information do you get from them? Name, email, and or phone number if you ask for it, right? So either way, if it's a lead campaign, you're gonna get the information, and if it's good enough, and this is where AI comes in. Because you might say, well, I'm new, or I don't really know all the pain points, or I kind of know my audience, but I don't know how to make it sound sexy. Now this is where you can use AI, right? Because you can go to like a Jasper.ai, which is, you know, similar to like a Chat GPT. And you can go there now, and then you can say, okay, you can say, write me, and I'm gonna share something with y'all later. I got a resource here. But you can say, write me a Facebook, write me a Facebook ad that talks about boom. And then you could say, okay, now if it's the planner, you could say that's stress-free, that's about time management, that's about eliminating distractions, enter. And it'll come out with a whole Facebook ad that is probably gonna get you 80% of the way, and this is what we were talking about. It'll get you about 80% of the way. However, you still need to add your personality, and that's where I think differentiation is going to come in when it comes to AI. Is that, and everybody write this down, you need to add your personality to it. That's where the differentiate, because everybody's going to be using AI. Mm-hmm. So then once everybody, right now it's cool because it's not mainstream, but give it to the end of the year, give it a year or 2 years, like it's going to be mainstream. Once it becomes mainstream, everybody's going to be doing it, and you don't want to be a cookie cutter of everybody else. Although it's like, you know, it comes up and it can think of different ways, but it's not. It can't tell your story. It can't tell your testimonials. It can't tell your experience. It can't tell you that, right? So it's important that we add our personality. Make sense? So I'm showing you how to navigate this technology space, especially with an IT cybersecurity background. I'm telling you how to navigate this. So y'all learning this, and y'all already way ahead, right? All right, make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, cool. So that is so that's that. I'm gonna give you two more. What would your ideal customer be searching for online? Like, what do they search online? What do they search for online? The reason you want to know certain keywords that they search for is obviously if they're looking for certain topics. So when you're targeting, you can also target certain topics. You might be like, you know what, everybody's looking for this type of book. Everybody wants to learn about this topic. And you can actually use those keywords. And you can do the same thing on YouTube where you can target certain keywords or certain you can target certain phrases that people search, just like they were searching Google or searching YouTube. You can actually take that exact topic and you can use that, and that's specific to YouTube, you can use that as a specific search term. And everybody who searches for that, your ad will pop up when they watch a video. Right? You know how you see the 5-second videos before you watch a YouTube video? Your ad will pop up right there because they search for that term at some point in time.
So I just put a hashtag?
So hashtags is one of them. Right? So you can do hashtags, but it's specific in YouTube. It's specific keywords. You want to look at keywords, specific keywords. Search terms and keywords. You're gonna have to play with it to figure it out. But once you're gonna be like, okay, now I see where this goes. But once you research it, you'll see what I'm saying. You got something else?
Oh no, I said thank you.
Oh, you will. All right, and then also too, this is not necessarily this is not like a search thing, but this is just so you can have an idea of who you do not want to work with, but who do you not want to work with. That's a targeting. Who do you not want to work with? That's a big thing too. You know, as I was mentioning, you know, we have certain people that was just trying to make a quick buck, and I'm just like, that's not who I'm trying to work with. I want people who are going to be in this. If you can say, I love this, I love helping people, I love transforming lives, that's going to look different. So, I mean, we're all going to do coaching and expand beyond that. It's not even about what the specific thing you're doing. You just got to have something you want to teach and train people, and you got to have the heart to really care about people and not just look at them like a dollar sign. You feel what I'm saying? And if you have that, you want to teach people, you have something to teach them, but you have the heart to do this, you know, I have no problem helping you all day long. You know what I mean? But because you're the type of person I want to help. I don't want you to leave people high and dry. So I'm clear on the type of people that I don't want to work with too, right? So that's something to be mindful of. All right? But that's the first thing. We talked about who's your best customer. All right? Make sense?
Makes sense.
All right, love it. All right. So now that we got any questions?
No, so that's good stuff.
Yo, this is phenomenal. I promise you. And it's not that expensive to do. You know what I mean? It's not that expensive to run. Like you can. I'm gonna tell you one of the things too that I love about running paid advertisements is that they don't give you. There's no mandatory minimums. Meaning, you can run ads, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, LinkedIn ads. You can run them for 3 days if you want it. You feel what I'm saying? Like you don't have to run. You can spend $15. We spend $15 on lunch. You know what I'm saying? More than that. So you can run an advertisement. I was looking at you, that's why I said more than that. So right. Especially in New York, right? You're gonna spend more than that on lunch, right? So, and you could turn it off in like 3 days. You don't gotta run it for 30 days. You can have a $10 a day advertising campaign. You might be like, damn, that's $300. But you could turn it off in like 7 days. You could turn it off in 3 days. But if it's working, you don't obviously want to turn it off. You want it to keep working, right? And the longer you run advertisements, the more that these algorithms they're gonna hit for you. Does that make sense? All right. So let's go through. All right, we're gonna use blue. All right, so let's go through the actual ad. All right, let's go through the ad. Meaning, this is the actual ad. How do we actually do an advertisement successfully? Like, how do we strategize for advertising successfully? So we already talked about clarity. Clarity of the goal, right? What is the campaign goal? My goal is to generate leads. My goal is for video views. My goal is I just want to send a bunch of traffic to whatever this destination is. If you have a specific reason, you know, you may not necessarily care about it being the most quality people. I just want to send as many people as I can to this page. They got campaigns like that. You have campaigns that are just like brand awareness, right? Just like a billboard, right? Hey, they just showing it to anybody, and it's not really about conversions or anything. It's just right. But the ones that I like lead generation ads.
Or if you have an upcoming event.
If you have an
workshop or something.
right, if you have an upcoming event or workshop, yeah, you could do that. Yeah, I mean, I have clients where that's what we do. Like where they have like you could send people to. They do this all the time. I heard somebody talk about Nehemiah Davis earlier, right? One of the things he does is he runs a lot of ads towards webinars that he's doing. So you can get webinar registrants because guess what? They're still a lead, right? And a webinar is what you call a lead magnet. It don't have to be a sheet of paper or a checklist. It could be a lead. It could be an upcoming webinar that you're hosting on Thursday. You know what I'm saying? So you can get that, and then guess what? You get 10 people, 20 people, 30 people on your webinar, and they like what you're talking about. Maybe they'll buy, or maybe they'll want to have a one-on-one appointment with you, or at that point, skies is the limit, right? But you got to understand what your goal is. What are you trying to achieve with the ad? I'm not just running. I see people. Somebody said, "Man, I had somebody come up to me and say, man, ads don't work." I said, "Ads don't work? What you mean ads don't work?" They said, "Man, I was running some ads and I didn't get any clients from it." And I said, "Well, what did you do?" And he said, "I boosted a post." I'm like, you gotta do a little bit more than boost a post. You know what I'm saying? There's no way. Like, how are you generating? How are you getting? How are you getting leads? You're just showing people something, but that's not gonna convert to anything. You gotta have a strategy. What's your strategy? So that's what the campaign goal is. All right. Number two, second thing we gotta look at is you want to look at your. We talked about the detailed targeting, right? So that's detailed targeting. I'm moving past that one because I think we butchered that a lot. So detailed targeting is number two. Oh, this is important. Message. Number three, message to market match. This is huge. This is very, very huge. Message to market match. So when you're running advertisement, and this is again where AI is going to come in. So message to market match is what I'm saying, my copy, my message in the actual ad, does it match and is it relevant to the audience that I'm showing it to? Meaning, if you're running an ad, you have to know. This is why when Evan was talking about coaching, like when you coach, you intimately know who your ideal client is, right? So if I know your pain points, I know your goals, I'm like, it's almost like I'm hiding under your table at night, and I can hear your woes, and I can hear, what's stressing you out, and I know what your goals are, 10 years from now, and I know, what you're struggling with today, but what you're worried about if nothing changes today, what that's gonna look like 5 years down the road if nothing changes, 25 years down the road if nothing changes. I know whatever it is, right? So because I know you, because I've been coaching and helping people, I can create an ad that is directly relevant to you because I know my audience. That's how we're able to just do trainings, and I don't really have any notes. Evan was like, I'm just up here, I'm just gonna speak. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? You ain't see June, right? It's because we've done it so many times. We've coached and mentored and done this so many times that we know it like this. Now, you asked me to go teach a snowboarding class, I'm gonna be like this. I'm gonna be reading word for word because I don't know nothing about snowboarding, right? So it all depends. So, but if I coached a few thousand people on snowboarding, if I was a snowboard instructor and I coached a few thousand people, I can do it like that. So now, when you know your audience well enough, you can make a message. You can make your message match perfectly like a hand in glove. That's what you really want. And so then now, let's say when you run an AI, when you use AI, now you can say you want to be very specific. So I'm gonna give y'all an AI hack. Be very specific and detailed in terms of what you want them to know, of what you want them to output, of what you want it to output. Be very specific and detailed in terms of what you want it to output. Some people will just say, write me an email. But you want to say, write me an email to authors, persuading them to join my webinar. Well, that's more detailed, but you want to get more specific because, what is the webinar about? What are they looking to achieve? So those are the type of context that when you feed an AI, the more detailed or specific you are, the better that they can get with it. So I would say, write me an email speaking to new authors, convincing them to join my upcoming webinar on how to structure their book from A to Z, right? And then if there's certain benefits, then you could list certain benefits, because what it's going to do is then when it spits back out, it's going to give you a nicely written email, and it's going to say, join this webinar because da 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 da, if you're struggling with da da da, and now it's going to give you, who are going through the pain point of procrastination, X, Y, and now it's going to give you, right? So that's the biggest thing. So that's the biggest thing that you want to be able to do. All right, so that's message to market match. Yo, in real life, yeah. I mean, we jumped on a coaching session together and looking like this, and it's just right in front of you, just like that. Cool. And then now you got that, but again, you still want to throw your sauce on it. You still, because you might have a name of a certain framework, or you might have or there's certain words or certain phrases you say. You know what I mean? Or usually, if you just do it at a default, and this is another AI hack too, give it a tone of voice. Give it a tone of voice. So you can have a tone, like I just played around with it one time and I said, I think I was doing like, it might have been an email, and then I said, okay, and it spit it out very professionally, like a professionally written email. Then I said, okay, say it like Kevin Hart.
Oh.
You feel what I'm saying? You feel what I'm saying? And then so you could and then it'll say it differently, right? And then you could say, make it motivational. Right? Or you could say, make it more heartfelt. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like that's the power of AI, is that you can give it a tone of voice. You could any emotion you name, it could spit it out. And not only just emotions, people is what I'm telling you.
I've been showing my daughter about that girl here when we was out there. I was showing her about the jazz.
Yo, exactly.
Yeah.
So and Jasper has a command. They have a command that literally asks you. It says tone of voice on it,
Yes.
right? And
Yes,
you've
so
seen that, right?
Yeah.
So so if you want to sound like whoever you want to sound like, or you say, you know what, my style, or kind of how I talk and deliver is sort of like this person. We kind of talk the same. You can actually do that as a tone of voice, so you don't have to do as much work cleaning it up after because it's already how you speak. Make sense? All right. So that's the message to market match. All right. And then number 4, we're looking at contagious ad creative. Contagious ad creative. All right, contagious ad creative. So now let's talk about the ad creative. Let's talk about the ad creative. So there's a few different ways we can create dope ads, right? So, and this is actually going to require a So, all right. So this is how I like to do it. What an ad creative is, you got video, and you got images, right? So first is your creative. Your creative is video and images. So guess what? They're gonna love this, right? So there's so many different ways you can actually create and/or a video and/or image. So let's start off with some images. So let's look at this. Let's start off with some images. All right, and then we'll go to some videos. All right. So what are some images you can do? One, easy win is before and after. We see that all the time with weight loss, right? When you can show before and after, that's going to be powerful. We see it all the time with makeup tutorials. You see it all the time with just different things, right? Fitness, anything, right? So if you can show, how can I show before and after? How can I show somebody with a manuscript and then show somebody with a physical book afterwards? You feel me? Right? How can I show? You know what I mean? Like, whether it's the dogs or maybe it's like like I spoke at my high school the other day. If the school was running ads, what they could have done is they could have said, "Hey Terrell, do you have a picture when you were in school?" And I said, "Yeah, I got some high school pictures." He said, "Okay, because I know you got into a career in cybersecurity, you own your own business. Could you provide? Do you have any pictures of some of the things you're doing right now?" And they could have did a side by side of me being a student in a school and I'm in a successful career. You feel what I'm saying? So almost anything you can show before and afters. You feel what I'm saying? So before and afters is very powerful. People are gonna see it and they're like, "Oh my God, I love it." All right. So you could do images of that. You could do, and pretty much some of these things are like, some of these things you can kind of do both, because you could do a video, you can do it as an image. So I might not even have to do the size. But also you could do credibility. Right? Any kind of credibility. Now, there's a few different ways you can do credibility. You can do credibility with your ads. So credibility could be one. It could be influencers, influencers and celebrities. One of my most successful ads to this day is the one with ET. That's how she found me. And look where she's at today. Mm-hmm. Right? Found me through an ad, a Facebook ad.
She's booked.
You feel what I'm saying? So she's, you know what I mean? So that's what it is. So guess what? Because people who follow ET, and the only thing I did was everything I just taught you. I did it on purpose. I said, okay, ET teaches similar things to me. So he probably has a lot of people that is looking to be experts, coaches, speakers. So I put him down as an influencer. And then I know my audience, so the message matched the market. right? And then I just so happened to see him at an event. He was like, yo, what's good? Because up until that point, he knew me. So then by the time, like to the point where he was like, yo, I'm walking in a venue, right? So like it was cool. And actually we wasn't in Cincinnati. I feel like I ask you this every time. It was in Columbus. It was in Columbus, right? So we did an event. We was at a Lewis House event. And he went to go speak. And then I saw him in like the speaker had like a speaker meet and greet situation. And then there was a guy that I was with, and I was like, I said, I need you to, I said, like, I feel like this is going to be like electric. I said, I need you to record this. And then I saw him like, yo, what's good? And he was like, yo, what's up? And then that's when and then we just recorded the whole thing. I did like a little short interview with him. And guess what? Boom, now I got the footage. So then now I ran the advertisement for the footage, and boom, and it just went through the skyrocket. Yo, he there, we talking, boom, his arm is around me. Yo, that's like endorsement. You feel what I'm saying? So it's no different than you here with Evan Carmichael today. You might run an ad against his audience, a Facebook or YouTube ad against his audience. So if you got pictures with him, you can use that. Or if you got video with him, you can use it. You know what I'm saying? You might be like, you know what? Let me. You know what I mean? I know. Evan got a couple people part of his audience that want to write some books. You know, Evan wrote a book. You know what I'm saying? He got a couple people that want to write books, right? So you know, let me test something out, a little couple $10 a day or something. Let me just test something out, just to see, right? See what he's talking about. I got AI, I got this, I got that. You know what? Let me run something for a week. I could spend $50. Let me just test something out for the week. Come on. And then now, and that's probably going to convert well because you're running an advertisement to his audience with a picture of him and you, and like, wait, so who's she? Let me check her out. Listen, if Evan is important enough to where he took the time out his day to actually be with her, let me check this Maureen lady out. Let me click on this. Let me sign up for this. Let me see what this webinar is about. Let me download this cheat sheet. Let me. You know what I'm saying? Listen,
I'm about to get your autograph right now.
There you go. Listen. So this is valuable stuff. Like, and that's why I said this is like ad strategy. So this goal, right? I promise you. So because you're learning everything organic, and now I'm teaching you the paid stuff. So before after, so we got the credibility. We got the credibility piece there. So what's another type of ad you can run? You can run. I call these angle ads. I mean angle. Yeah, you could just call it like angle. It's an angle ad. Angle ad images. So basically, angle ad images basically, or video. All of these, by the way, I just realized that everything you can do, image you can do as video. So basically, you have different pain points. So since we sticking with the authors, let's stick with the authors, right? So okay, so you're thinking, you say, okay, well, what are the top problems that authors face that I can help them with? So you may say, well, coming up with what their chapters are. You may say procrastination of actually writing a book or finishing a book. All of those are what we call angles. Those are different challenges that they face. Because I might do, and I learned this through running ads to coaches, that I'm like, man, I'm running these ads for coaches to get clients, and I'm like, okay, it's cool, but I'm like, I feel like there's more of the market that I could tap, or I feel like there's some people that I'm missing. And I said, well, some people feel like they don't even have their program yet. So it's like, well, should I even do this? Because I don't feel like I have anything to offer people, right? So then I did an ad about how to create a program, right? So same exact thing. It's like, and then it could be the vice versa. It could be same thing with speakers, right? They might feel like, okay, cool, I could be running it so I could show you how to create your speech. But they'd be like, okay, well, I already know what I'm going to talk about. I'm trying to get on stages. Right? So when you run an ad, you also want to look at what are the different angles, because you'll capture more of the market that way.
So how would you take an angle and image? Can you explain that? Like
Sorry, so your angle is within the image. So if it's, or video. So this would probably be more relevant for video, to be honest. This might be more relevant to video. Because you have to describe it. You have to talk about it. If it's a problem that principals are facing, you could probably better demonstrate it in a video than you can in an image. Does that make sense now? I mean, I guess if they're having problems with with the kids, maybe you could have a sad face. Maybe you feel what I'm saying? Maybe these damn kids. It's like a meme. You could do like a meme, right? So a meme is an image. So maybe if you did it as a meme, that might best demonstrate this, right? But if you wanted to really like drive the pain point home, you could do like a 60-second video and just really talking about what the challenge is. All right? You follow along with that? All right, perfect. Oh, and this is one of the. This right here brings it home. Right here brings it home. Right here. So, number 5. You really need to, when it comes to advertising, it doesn't matter any advertising platform. Experiment like a mad scientist. Experiment like a mad scientist. This is important. When you run ads, everybody's not going to get the best results immediately. You might hit it out the park. One of the